Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Olivia. Our topic is Bessie Smith and exploring her life and her impact on musical society.
In 1923, Bessie Smith released her first album after encountering many roadblocks in her career. But by doing that, her fame and fortune were kickstarted, and she was able to explore the limits of jazz, blues, and commercial recording. Bessie brought attention to black female artists into the recording and performing industry. She gave them the courage to try commercial recording and to be successful.
Before that, Bessie Smith exchanged ideas with Ma Rainey and decided to start her own show, encountering many difficulties with racism and people's opinions about her looks. Bessie's confidence, big personality, and talent changed how people viewed her as a black female artist. She gave other black female artists the courage to be successful. More black female artists are recording and singing their hearts out today.
Jazz all started with slaves playing drums and singing on the weekends in New Orleans. They say New Orleans is the queen of jazz. They say it all started here. They say Bessie Smith was considered the empress of the blues. Here's how all the music started. Jazz and blues are related. They're in the same family. They influence each other. Jazz would not exist without the blues. Both jazz and blues emerged from the African American communities in southern United States.
In a book by Angela Davis titled Blues Legacies and Black Feminism, she wrote, "Blues, the most important musical genre after slavery. It challenged the ideology of racism. Women's blues valorized black working-class life and contested assumptions about women's place in both dominant culture and African-American culture. In the early 1900s, New Orleans, Philadelphia, and Chicago were starting their jazz scene. These are all places that Bessie Smith traveled during her career, and they were all pretty diverse from the beginning."
In 1912, a vaudeville group comes to Bessie's town. Her brother Clarence scores Bessie an audition at age 18, and she gets in as a dancer. Bessie, we're doing the paper bag test. Many people in the vaudeville show said Bessie was too tall, too fat, and too black to be performing. The directors often did something called the paper bag test, where they would compare her skin to a brown paper bag to see if her skin was light enough. Bessie's was darker.
Come back here right now. You promised us $5 this week, but what are we getting? One. That is not fair. As it turns out, Ma Rainey, also known as the Mother of the Blues, was one of the big headliners for the show. Bessie was able to receive some stage training from her.
Bessie, come here. The blues is not about people knowing it. It's about you knowing the people.
Okay.
After working with Ma for a while, Bessie decided to start her own show. She had a brother come with her.
Bessie started doing more and more shows. She was getting more attention, which means more people coming to her shows, which means more people paying, which means more money for Bessie. She was expanding. In 1923, Bessie met Jack G, a night watchman. In that same year, Bessie scored a record deal with Columbia Records and made her first album, Downhearted Blues.
But it's hard to love someone when that someone don't love you. I'm so disgusted, heartbroken too. I've got those downhearted blues.
After making her first record, Columbia Records sent Bessie on a promotion tour. Her album was getting a lot of attention. She sold over 780,000 copies in the first 6 months, which is a lot for that time. And in June of 1923, Bessie and Jack got married.
I do.
Later, in 1925, Bessie got a luxurious railroad car for her and her entourage to travel in. Even with her fame and fortune, Bessie was still treated like a black woman in America. What are you doing here? This is a hotel for whites only. No colored people allowed. Get out!
Between 1923 and about 1927, Bessie was collecting as much as $2,000 a week. At the beginning of her tour, Bessie was performing in all-black theaters. But as more and more people recognized her as a talented blues musician, she was able to perform in some white theaters. Bessie also worked and made some records with amazing musicians. These included Louis Armstrong, James P. Johnson, Fletcher Henderson, and Sidney Bechet. Around 1926, Bessie adopted a son, Jack G. Jr. When Jack Sr. and Bessie started to fight a lot, he just became the rope in a tug-of-war relationship. As the Great Depression set in 1929, Bessie began to lose popularity and money.
do I get for this? It's a long old road, but I know I'm going to find the end.
Bessie's life was starting to fall apart. She was forced to move out of her house and downsize. Her and Jack separated permanently in 1929 when she found out that he was having an affair and putting the money that Bessie made into making his mistress show a success. She began to drink more and more.
How could you, Jack? How could you? All this time stealing my money? How could you?
One day, soon after their separation, Jack Sr. came back and kidnapped Jack Jr. We think that was one of the kickstarts to her growing alcoholism. By the end of 1931, Bessie stopped working with Columbia Records altogether. After that, she met Richard Morgan, and they became faithful companions.
In 1929, Bessie also started a movie called St. Louis Blues, which ran from 1929 to around 1931. As the swing era started to appear, Bessie started to adapt. She could swim with the best of them, so she started to move back up in popularity. Sadly, on September 29, 1937, Bessie and Richard were driving from Mississippi to Tennessee for a show when they hit the tail end of a truck. Bessie was fatally injured and she died that morning. Even after her death, Bessie was still getting a lot of attention. As her niece Ruby put it, "That woman must be weeping in her grave. Poor Bessie. Even after she died, people would let her be."
Bessie Smith changed the views of many people towards jazz and African-American women artists. She influenced Billie Holiday, Judy Garland, and Janis Joplin. Many other women mirrored her stage presence in the 1950s, including Linda Hopkins and Dinah Washington. It's also said that Mahalia Jackson channeled Bessie on stage and that it helped her get famous. Before dying, Dinah Washington released an album titled Dinah Washington Sings Bessie Smith. It's said that when you hear Dinah sing it, and then when you hear Bessie sing, you get the same emotional reaction.
Bessie Smith changed jazz and blues for all the years to come after her death. She influenced musical society, and many people are still fans today. Recently, there was an HBO movie released starring Queen Latifah playing Bessie. It was a look into the life that we believe Bessie led. Bessie encountered and fought against racism and sexism before the major civil rights movement and women's rights movement. She had a successful career in the financial area for a black woman at that time. She was very independent with her money, even with her husband, Jack G. In present day, there aren't a lot of women in history that are written about and remembered in comparison to men. It is a feat that Bessie Smith is imitated, listened to, and remembered today.
As you may know, people still encounter racism and sexism today in the music industry. We found many references to it in our research, but we couldn't find any real studies using numbers and percentages. There were many strong women and amazing women that are black and that are artists, like Nicki Minaj, Beyonce, Rihanna, Janet Jackson, and Natalie Cole. Rihanna has an opinion on racism. She says, "When I started to experience the difference or have my race highlighted, it was when I would mostly do business deals." That never ends, by the way. It's still a thing. It's a thing that makes me want to prove people wrong.
Bessie Smith opened many doors for black women musicians in jazz and blues. She gave them the courage to explore commercial recording and to be successful. Bessie Smith changed the way black female artists viewed the recording business and the way other people viewed black female artists. More black female artists are recording and singing their hearts out today.